Yeah, growing up, so I grew up in Jewett City, Connecticut. You may have heard of it. It's a little bit outside of Norwich, down Route 12. Me and a lot of other troublemakers come from Jewett City, Connecticut. It's not a bad place, right? Don't get me wrong. It's a very small city. A city, if you will, please. It's questionable on whether it's a true city. But when you're growing up there, it's a city, right? I mean, if you've never been to, like, spent real time in Boston or New York or something like that, then yeah, I would say that it's a small little city, right? It had a grocery store, it had like all your usual suspects. I was not a quiet kid at all. I was actually quite loud and rambunctious. And but when I was at school, I was the smallest kid in the class, so I would just shut my mouth, and people would just pick on me or have fun with me or whatever. But I never took their guff, right? Not even a little bit. Like I would rather a bully beat my ass into the ground than bend a knee even a little bit to a bully. I just won't do it. I think maybe that's what probably drove me later on to join the military, maybe. But we'll get to that. So I grew up in Jewett City, and it was great. I went to high school in Danielson, Connecticut, though, and I went to a trade school. And if you know anything about Connecticut, then you might know about the trade school system. And the trade school system is really good. Now, I live in New Hampshire, and their trade school system is really bad. Like, for some reason, New Hampshire, all right, I don't want to like get too far into it, but New Hampshire could really do a lot with some more education, right? Because it's pretty embarrassing, like their trade school. I left high school with my hairdressing license in 1996. That was crazy. I was like one of 3 dudes in all of Eastern Connecticut that had a hairdressing license. That's not normal. I was the first guy to graduate my high school program. Like, that to me it felt weird. Like, I definitely shouldn't have been the first. There could have been a lot of other better people. I went to work in a salon. I worked in there for quite a while. It was a good year, I think. Anyway, I went off to the military, and I joined the military. I always tell people this, like, I'm not ashamed of it. Like, it is what it is. You're talking about 30 years ago. My girlfriend joined the Air Force. I liked her, and I had nothing going on other than working for a salon. So I joined the Air Force, and off I went. Now, when I joined the Air Force, my first 4/5 years, because I was a year in school, but I was a fuels guy. So I drove like big old green over to the flight line, and I fueled aircraft at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. I deployed for like almost 6 months to PSAB in 1997 and 98. And I mean, it was I really liked the job because the people that work it are like my spirit animals. They're crazy. They don't care. They just want to have a great time. They want to laugh. They don't get hung up on the little stuff. And so I miss the people. But the job, man, it was just too boring. Like, you just drove a truck at 10 miles an hour and you held a dead man for like 15 minutes at a time. And I'm just thinking, like, is this it? Now, I will say this, because if you're going into the Air Force, I don't want to like make this sound bad, right? Just, I don't have the brain to do monotonous work, right? And I tried. I was qualified on basically every single task in fuels. All right, I don't want to go too far into this, all right? This is going to be a long video if I do. The point is, I was bored and I wanted out. So I cross-trained over to SATCOM, wideband, and telemetry systems, and it was a lot of fun. It was basically exactly what I needed. I needed a good challenge, but it was a very hard thing to do. Anyway, I'm not going to go through my whole military career. I'm just kind of like the highlights, right? And then I retired in 2017 out of SATCOM. I was in South Korea, which I'll tell plenty of stories from my time in South Korea. I spent like 8 years in South Korea. It was a very long time. Not all at like once. The longest I was there at once was just over 5 years. I did like a 5-year block with my family, which was pretty cool. That was like raising kids in South Korea is fascinating, especially when they're attending like the DoD school and stuff like that. If you ever have any questions about that, leave some comments below. I'll see if we can dive in on a future video. I'm going to take a little tangent here because I also need to talk about a few things. One, I used to talk about like tech stuff and like IT stuff on this channel, and I've already unlisted all those videos, like 5 maybe from like 10 years ago, because that's not what I'm interested in anymore. And I'm not really sure exactly what this channel is going to turn into. Like, this is video number 6, and I don't even know if you want to count the shorts. I want to just tell you a little bit about me and kind of like where I came from, like my story, a little bit about, you know, what I've done. But I also am trying to connect with my audience to figure out like where I'm going with this. So I don't know. You can count this as like my first like channel update or whatever. It's a little get to know me, all right? And hopefully I'll get to know you too. And if you're into like anything like this, these talking head videos, and somebody that's just gonna chit chat with you and maybe give you a 20-minute video once a week, twice a week, like, please tell me, thumbs up, like subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment if you want. I try to respond to all comments, and sometimes I don't get right there, you know, but I will get to it for sure. Anyway, that will help me figure out what you want to hear. So I'm going to give you a little bit of taste of like who I am in this video, and you can pick out what you want, right? And kind of guide me a little bit. I've owned a screen printing company, you know, that was kind of interesting. I've owned an embroidery business. That was interesting. I've done a lot of small business stuff, but it's not really like my passion, you know? So anyway, I retired in 2017, and I decide for the first year, I'm going to the Philippines with my family. And I actually lived in Jewett City for a year. If you've never been to the Philippines, one, you should. Like, it is such a great place. I've been there probably 30 times. I've lived there. My family has lived there multiple years. Like, it is an interesting place to be, and it will humble you. If it doesn't humble you, I'm not sure what to say about that. But it's not really about humbling you. It's about going to enjoy a country that has so much delicious food and amazing people and beautiful accommodations. There's so much to offer in the Philippines, but it is hot. So there's that. And, you know, it's not paradise in that fashion, but you can go to some places in the Philippines that literally is fantastic, like 80-degree weather year round, like Sagada and all that. Anyway, great country. I hope to be there again soon. You know, my favorite countries are South Korea, Thailand, and Philippines, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. So anyway, a year went, and we came back to the US, and I asked my children, hey, you know, I've gotten to choose where we go for all these years. Like, where do you want to go? And they looked at me and they said, you know, we want to go and meet your side of the family. Because I had been away from home for 25 years at that point. You know, I left when I was 18, fresh off the turnip truck, and I didn't leave until almost 40. So, you know, before you know it, nobody knows who your kids are. So I packed up everything. I think it cost me like $12,000 to get a team of movers to come pick up my stuff in the Philippines, pack it in a 20-foot container and mail it to me. And like, we got it like 2 months later. It came in from Boston. They drove up. It was super awesome. We bought our house. And it was like a team of 3 or 4 people that showed up and like unpacked everything. They did that for $12,000. That was a steal. So I came back to New Hampshire because that's where like the rest of my family is. Everybody left Connecticut when I left, basically. So I didn't have anybody left other than, you know, some aunties and some uncles. And, you know, if you do watch this, just know I love you. So we're here in New Hampshire. Listen. We're here in New Hampshire. You know, just the maple syrup behind me, you know, we make our own maple syrup. We like, they don't talk like that. Some do though, some do. It's very interesting. Going around New England and hearing like different accents, like Maine kind of brings that into me because like I hear like them refer to me as like bub once in a while. And the first move, of course, is like looking around for Wolverine. You're like, what happened? And then you realize, no, I'm in vacation land. I'm in Maine. I am Bub. Much like, for those that might know, if you're in the Philippines, you're also Joe, right? All of us foreigners are referred to as Joe, which is very, very interesting. I've been called Joe multiple times. I've been married to my wife, almost 20 years now. As of this video, we're like just shy of 20. Hopefully like a couple hundred to go with medical science. I mean, not now, but like maybe in a few years, we get some more science going on, Then I can live until like maybe 200-300 years, maybe get some superpowers. I mean, it's gotta get better than this, right? I'm almost 50. And I still don't have a superpower. How is that? Like, I don't know. Like, this has got to be more. Like, I think I'm just going to, like, fizzle into an old wrinkled man and fade away. But hopefully in between, like, I've asked myself, what do I want to do over the next 20 years, right? And I don't want to run for office anymore. I ran last year. I ran for Congress at my state level. And that was interesting. I knocked on, like, 600 doors. Like, I tried talking to people. I tried, like, you're just having discussions with your neighbors, and most people were pretty decent, right? Like, they either didn't open the door to say hi or they did. And at the end of the day, we just didn't have, like, some people really were hurt that I was at their house talking politics. But a lot of people were super good. I don't know, like, running for office, like, mentally, it's taxing, right? You put in a lot of effort. Like, for me, I did 2 years. I spent 2 years like talking to people, developing my policy, like going to training courses, like networking, getting signs made, pamphlets made, going to every event I can. It's not a complaint. I enjoyed every single thing. Like, I wouldn't take back running for office for $1 million. I just wouldn't. I got to know so many people in my community. And it was super rewarding. But they asked me the other night, if I would run again. And the answer is no, I would not run again. And it's not because, like, it's too much work or anything like that. It comes down to, like, how do I want to spend, like, the last 20 good years of my life? Because I assume, like, I'm going to be falling apart in my 70s, especially with the VA collapsing. Like I don't even have, like, healthcare coming up here soon. Anyway, that's a whole nother video. But, like, at the end of the day, I want to make content. And I think the biggest thing that I want to do is I want to bring the Adam Mulholland Show podcast, whatever it's going to be. It's my name plus whatever, right? And I just want to sit down with interesting people and have, like, a real conversation. Like, I want to take that. Like, I'm not trying to replace, like, Joe Rogan, right? I know, another bald white guy, right? Another bald, handsome white guy with better takes and stuff, right? Actually likes people and, like, I don't know. So my goal is to bring this podcast, and that would probably be, to be honest, the majority of the content on this channel. Because I don't know how much of, like, these kind of videos I'm going to make versus, like, podcasts. But my goal is, at the end of this, is I want to make long form, like, podcasts, like, where we dive in 2 to 3 hours on some pretty cool subjects. And I don't want to pick lane. Like, I want to talk to some really cool people. That was one really nice thing about running for Congress last year. I got to meet all kinds of crazy people. Like, crazy, like I can't believe I'm meeting you crazy. Not like they're crazy, but, like, I got to meet scientists. I got to meet policy experts. I got to meet, like, famous people. I got to meet US reps, senators. I got to meet governors. I got to meet all kinds of people, not just politicians. I know I just rattled off a bunch of politicians, but I got to meet some really cool, interesting people. Like, they don't even have to be famous. I don't even care about their fame. I care about their story. I want to sit down with, like, normal people and interesting people. That's something I don't want to chase the clicks. I want to chase the conversation. I want to chase the ideas, because I believe that if I get those right, the clicks will come anyway. So it's whatever, right? I made 3 videos on being deaf in my ear and I got like 70 new subscribers. So I didn't think about it when I made those videos. I just made what was important to me. And I think that's ultimately what this channel is going to be. So, I mean, honestly, if you can deal with that, like, you can like and subscribe and I'll give you more. I think one of the biggest things to me though, and now this is like just more of an abstract here. I live by certain values, and I live by like, be funny first, be caring always, and just be like the best person you can be. Like when I was young, I was surrounded by some pretty questionable people that made me, you know, question like who I am, what I was about, and all that stuff. And I'll be honest, like at the end of the day, man, like we're here for a very short trip. Like if you're super lucky, maybe you get 80 years, like 80 trips around the sun, and then it's over. So what's your legacy? Mine, I wanted to be, you know, he was a decent guy. Maybe you show up to my funeral and you smoke one for me, you know? I'd love it. I won't even haunt you if you do it. Listen, you can ask me any questions you want in the comments within reason, and I'll either block you or I'll reply to you. Blocking, it would take a lot. I have a very thick skin, by the way, right? You don't just do a career in the military and be thin-skinned. So, you know, hit me with some tough subjects if you want. Other than that, just say hi. Like, just let me say hi to you back. Like, that alone would be great. Say hi in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.